options around us, unlike our time. And career counseling helps them understand their own strengths and weaknesses, interests as well as aptitude, and advanced career options. So, parents, I'm sure you all are aware as part of this series, we already had two sessions with Mindler. One was the orientation and onboarding session with students, which included subject planning. Students were also given their unique login IDs, with the help of which we conducted an online testing of students to get an insight into their areas of interest and aptitude. We also had a second session wherein the results were analyzed and discussed. And today we are going to have a third session in the series with the parents with Mr. Prikshit Dhanda. So I welcome you, Mr. Prikshit, for today's session. And let me introduce Mr. Prikshit to all the participants here. So Mr. Prikshit especially came from Harvard University. He is one of the leading life coaches, motivational speaker, and career coaches in the country. With over 20 years of experience, he has mentored and trained more than 2 million students across domains and regions. Understanding students' aspirations along with their aptitude and motivating them to achieve excellence has kept him busy for more than 2 decades. Having worked with some of the leading universities, including the prestigious Delhi University and hundreds of other institutions, Friction has transformed the lives of millions in this journey. He is single-mindedly guided by his passion for education, educating the youth. His insights on human behavior and approach to learning from oneself bring him to us today. So without further ado, I hand over to you, Mr. Prikshit, and I'm sure parents would be having a lot of questions if you all after he completes his session. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. Um, Good morning. And thank you so much for those kind words. Good morning to all of you. Good morning to parents. I hope I'm audible and clear. Dipankar, you are also here, right? Okay. I'm just checking. If parents need to ask me a question, will they be able to unmute themselves and ask me a question if they want to?
Yes, sir, they can raise their hands. There is an option of raising hands, and then we can take the questions one by one.
Perfect, perfect. So one option is that we could, wait at the end. We could have questions. I am absolutely open. Wherever you have a question, please stop me. Don't worry. Let's make it interactive. Is that okay with all of us?
I'm
Right?
sure, sir.
Okay, great. Uh, so I'll kind of talk about and this is for class 9th students right now, right? They are in class 9th.
Yes, sir.
Perfect, perfect. So which means next year they go to 10th. So which is 2021, then 2022. Sorry, 2021 they go to 10th. So which is 2024 pass outs they will be?
Yes, 24, sir. Early 24.
Early 24. Early 24. Okay, great. So there are a few things that I like to talk about. One is, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the importance of career guidance right now. I'll just kind of, dabble in it maybe for a minute or two. And I'll share with you what are the developmental strategies right now, what they should do, what they could do in order to be better prepared for a brilliant career opportunity. Okay. So number one is that why is it so early to speak to them? See if how their career decisions are going to be impacted. Number one is, as all of us know, we are still in a lockdown state, and I don't know how many months this is going to continue. What is going to be the next year like? That's one. So my profile, my build up, my education, I have to kind of move online only till the situation does not improve. So I will talk about that. The next is going to be, thanks to NEP will start I mean, we look at implementation of the national education policy somewhere early next year. However, it's not going to be implemented in a day. It will take some time. It could take years for us to finally see the shape of NEP. Okay, so that is definitely going to affect their career choices. Then also we need to understand how the higher education is changing. What kind of options are coming in? What are the modern age universities bringing? What kind of specializations, new age career opportunities that the modern universities will present? And also we're looking at what kind of attitude, emotional quotient, social quotient. What are the other things that are going to come into play for the 2000? I call them actually 2024 pass outs in schools. I would look at about 2028, 2030 is when they move past their higher education or maybe post graduation also further on, and then into the job market. Whether they look at job market or they look at being an entrepreneur or being a sports person, performing arts, it could be anything. So starting with, how do we need to deal this situation right now when everyone is moved to online education? Number one is that they are having their classes online. Number two is, now because the school building is closed, what are few things that they can do? Number one, my request to parents will be, there needs to be a very different kind of engagement. I can clearly factor in that a lot of parents used to think that too much of online businesses is not good for the child, not good for the student. I mean, they shouldn't have that kind of exposure. But today, if they have to do their classes, they have to be online. If they have to do their certification programs, they have to be online. If they have to connect with their friends, another online. Social media, digital media, everything is online, right? If they have to do their homework, then also it's online. So therefore, I mean, it's not an easy situation, but there's only so much that we can do. So as parents, what we could do is, number one is, instead of fighting with them over their screen time, we could ask them to take regular breaks. If supposing they're reading on the gadgets, that we could kind of propose, all right, we could propose that why don't you read off gadgets? Or why, I mean, within the house, there are so many activities that you could do, only so many that you could do. Maybe you could participate in the daily chores with the family. Maybe we could start connecting with them at a deeper level because that's the best option that we have. Maybe engagement, conversations, discussions. So that's the only way to go, right? As far as skill development is concerned, so if I want to take part in a quiz, it is again online. MUN, it's EMUN. If I want to learn any language, again online. Anything, even if I'm editing a course, even if I'm just looking at what all is around, it's online. How long will it stay? In all probability, it seems that it will be over in few months. In the worst possible case, we are looking at 2021. So therefore, let's be prepared for the worst. The other thing that is very, very important, and especially so in 9th class, is the trend of these modern age universities. Like, just to give an example, so as you and I are talking, there are the Mahindra group they already had a university, but now there's another very big lavish setup is coming up. There are a few other corporate bodies that are getting into institutions, building institutions. There are many other institutions coming up, and because of new education policy, the invitation lies open for the 100 top institutions in the world, the top 100. And I don't know, I don't even know by the time your students graduate from school, 2024, you don't know if there is a possible Harvard in India or a Stanford or an Oxford. I don't know. All right. So that's another possibility. How their selection system or eligibility criteria is going to be, these modern age institutions, one, will spoil you for choice. All right. And of course, if NEP gets implemented across spectrum, The students are today spoiled for choice, and in future also will be genuinely spoiled for choice. When I say spoiled for choice, meaning the sky is the limit as to what combinations you could make. So, for example, I say I want to look at doing a major in classical, Western classical music, Indian classical music. I want to look at theater, filmmaking. But hold on, I also want to study maths and economics. I want to do psychology and literature, or psychology and media along with theater. Or I want to study philosophy, but I'm crazily interested in physics. So you could do that. So you could do a major minor combination, you could do a double major, you could do a triple major. And please understand this, I am talking about today. Today, this is already available to the student today. So you can imagine 3-4 years later, 5 years later, the situation is definitely going to further change. So therefore, in order for our students to be ready for that kind of environment, there are few very, very important characteristics or traits or institution and we together, we have this responsibility towards grooming them in a certain way. Like a huge amount of focus or impetus has to be given to their personality development. A lot of people talk about confidence, self-esteem. I would say they should be exposed not only to subjects, to career options, but more importantly, personal grooming. When I say personal grooming, meaning whether it is I pick up few instruments, whether I pick up vocals, whether I pick up writing skills, or whether I'm more interested in towards very, very strong coding and programming skills. It could be English language or other languages. It could be regional languages. It could be public speaking. It could also be sports related. It could be art. The focus can be unlimited. Okay, it could be just martial arts for my better physical development. It could be yoga. I was just doing this session with this girl yesterday. She has already done her bachelor's in classical dance as well as music by the time she finished 12th. She's a Lucknow-based student, and now she's going for media communication after her 12th. And she wants to focus on media, but she wants to look at another major in cultural art. Okay, so she wants to look at that. Now, therefore, this kind of development is very, very important. All right, I'm not saying we could look at it from a career perspective. Maybe, why not? That option is always there. If they want to make it a career option, if in case, even if they don't, this will amplify what they have on their CV, biodata. One is that. Second is it will just open up tons of other opportunities for them, right? Colleges would love to have students who've done well in academics, okay, who've not only done well in academics, not just in 1 year, across the board. Like, for example, say they would like to look at what have you done in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So they're looking at 4-year period, right? Then along with academics, what about the applications of academics? What about internships? What about all the other activities that I've talked about? What else is there to your personality? Like, just to give an example, say 2020 12th class students, okay, this year we had a record produced 44,000 plus about another 8. We had roughly about anything about 50,000 plus students in India scoring 95% plus. All right. There were few 99, there were few 100 also, but 50,000 plus students over 95. Now, can you imagine if, even if I've got a 97.5% in my 12th class, there is no guarantee whatsoever that I will get my, my favorite program at Delhi University. The mandate this year looks like most of the honors programs, the top honors programs, should stop at 99. I doubt if they will even go to 98.5. they'll all close at 99. The top sought after honors programs, right? Which could be computer science, which could be political science, it could be history, it could be maths, it could be psychology, it could be English literature, excuse me, it could be BCom honors, Eco honors, right? So that's going to stop. So therefore, it is very challenging if everyone is getting 97, 98. My God, what do I go and tell my student? That, listen, I'm sorry, there is no scope, there is no margin of error. You just have to operate at that level, otherwise you don't exist. It can be a very daunting task, okay, for any student to just say, I have only that kind of the margin of error. So therefore, universities are moving towards that. How many universities on this day take 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th marks? They look at your other activities, they look at your personality, they look at your internships or voluntary service, community service, and then of course letter of recommendation from your teachers and blah blah blah. They would be, today there should be about 30 to 40 universities in the country. By the time your students are going to come out of school, there will be many more institutions in India looking at this. Next is, you would have heard about exams called SAT, ACT for international journey, that these are standardized tests that we need to write. There are about, as I'm talking to you, about 37, maybe 40 universities in India for Indian courses. They are starting to look at SAT scores. So if you don't want to write our test, you take the normal standardized SAT score, give us that score, and we'll give you direct admission. You don't need to write our entrance exams, right? This is because of three reasons. One, because they want to cater to Indian students. More importantly, they want international students to be on board, right? So that's another reason. Third is, they're like, why conduct our own test? A student will have to write so many different tests, okay, which of course NEP is going to do away with those tests. That's the proposal. But please understand, in India, whenever a new big policy comes in, I'm sorry, I'm a maybe because I've seen a lot of policies come in, I always have my reservations, because you may have the most amazing policy. Ultimately, it will depend how it is implemented, how it is put into practice. So therefore, people are going gaga over the new education policy. Definitely, it's a departure. Definitely, there are a lot of changes being talked about. However, we will only get to know how and when it gets implemented and in what form, and how many universities, college, schools, meaning K-12 and higher education, how they adapt themselves. Like, so there is a long way to go. So therefore, this is a very important area where we need to prepare our students accordingly. So if supposing, all right, I am seeing a lot of parents here, if your student shows any talent, and talent in any field, it could be in cooking, it could be what we call culinary arts, it could be any area, wherever they show some talent, instead of, I know for a fact all of you will promote it, okay, all of you will say, very good, please develop this talent further, right? I take it without saying. It is understood. However, my request will be, please ask them to amplify it, okay? Not just keep it as a hobby. Please give it shape, give it your very best, all right? If you're good, if you're showing talent anywhere, please look at it, what advanced form it could take. So that's one. Second is, please also motivate them that books are important. I mean, academics is important, but there is much more to academics, okay? Application, understanding, choices, complementary, interdisciplinary subject choices. So there is so much more. Ask them to explore, and not just be like someone who's very averse to to exploration. So that this is going to be the age. Like the other day, I was talking to a parent, and a parent asked me, Parikshit, if I want to look at my son is talking about sports as a career. Now, first thing is, why only sons are talking? Daughters could also talk about sports as a career. Absolutely, without doubt. Okay, it's a neutral option, right? So my son is talking about sports, but I don't know, sports has no future. Or even if I see that there is a huge shift in sports, I can see volleyball, football, I can see cricket, badminton, squash, lawn tennis, kho-kho, kabaddi, and all kinds of leagues coming in, sports looking up in a different way. So where do you see sports? Please just be with me and let me share something with you, okay? I have specially noted down something for you. Right. So I went to the parent during the session, and I shared this. And I, especially after I shared, I wrote this down, and I'm sharing this with you, okay? So I said, why are you thinking that sports means I have to play sports and be a sports person of national and international repute? Absolutely well. This is a possibility, okay? However, why don't we look at sports medicine, sports coaching, sports nutrition, marketing, sports injury management, sports psychology, sports technology, esports, sports wellness, sports scouting agents, sports fitness and therapy, sports statisticians and data scientists, okay? Then sports fitness, sports event management, sports journalism, sports law. And I said, as I'm talking to you, this is just tip of the iceberg. There are so many other courses. And the parents were like, oh, so, okay. So do these exist in India? I'm like, yeah, about more than 90% of them exist in India also. So where is your student? Oh, he's in 10th class. And so we are looking at finishing his 10th and 2 more years. I said, in 3 years, let's take it. By the time he'll be out of school, there would be many more fascinating options available. So all I'm trying to say is you could also research. We could support you. Your teachers are already here. We are more than happy to share this information with you. You have access to Mindler dashboard. You have access to the tools, library, blogs. You don't have to search. If you want to, more than welcome. Excuse me, but if you say, why don't you give us access to these tools? What is the latest that is happening? Like, for example, today there is another big change happening in the universities. That is, earlier they were only teachers. Today we've started looking at something called industry academia collaboration. So, for example, my student wants to study, say, risk management, okay? A BBA in risk management. So a university says, great, I'm going to teach you BBA in risk management. However, I've already tied up with KPMG. All right. So KPMG and my university, we will do the transfer of knowledge. All right. So 50-60% is the curriculum which is introduced, facilitated, where the people from KPMG, they are guiding students training. Wow, this is as good as an industry interface. I am doing something called a computer engineering with data science. I'm doing computer engineering with game design, with AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, or I'm looking at cloud computing. So, okay, how about my computer science with a specialization in cloud computing? Who do I have partner? I have IBM as a partner. So IBM helps me transfer this entire knowledge. So therefore, this world or the university or the higher education system is also changing in a big way. There is a university, I'm sorry, I'm not taking university names. There is a university in Bhopal which started something called a culinary art program. All right. Now, what did they do? They said, okay, our intake will be about 30 to 50 students. All right. Let's say 50 students. We have already looked at about 30 top-notch chefs in the country. All right. We will train you on culinary art. However, you will have these chefs as mentors, and you will have access to these people, and they will pick up these small mentoring groups, and they are going to mentor you throughout the program. I mean, wow, fantastic. There are sports management programs which are run by these amazing institutions from Germany, Spain, Italy, and they have collaborations in India. So therefore, it's a very different world out there for your students. Okay, is it like in a niche area? I mean, is it very niche still? Has it become a kind of, is it more of an exception rather than a general rule? Yes, it is limited in scope, but please understand it is moving very fast. So if you ask me 10 years back, how many such universities were there in the country? Maybe one or two. If you ask me last 5 years, from those two or five, we moved to about 30. All right. And more universities are adopting. I mean, our IITs will also have interdisciplinary programs. Also, I'm not saying that IITs didn't have social science departments. However, now it is going to be adding a very different dimension. So that's one. Second area would be, if you are preparing your students for all these things, there is another thing that I would request you to prepare them for. Prepare them for aptitude preparation. Aptitude preparation doesn't mean they have to run to coaching institutes, okay? Doesn't mean immediately kind of, get them and say, hey, which is the best coaching institute for general awareness, English as a language, mathematical aptitude, logical reasoning, analytical reasoning. No, just kind of, motivate them, get them that material. Of course, again, you will say, Parikshit, what is this? There is a lot of online material. There are a lot of online courses. So you could do that. You could buy them physical books also if they are comfortable doing it. So they could, like for example, if you remember when we were growing up, when we were graduating, we used to solve puzzles. We used to do so much. We used to read magazines, newspapers, books, and we would develop our own vocabulary. I mean, while reading. So if they love it, if someone loves reading, great. If someone doesn't love, then there are other ways to kind of, get them to adapt to that. So I'm saying whichever way, whatever learning style your student has, kind of, but you would say, Parikshit, this kind of puts a lot of responsibility on us. Absolutely. We are raising the next generation, and especially so difficult during COVID times. You see, earlier it was, I would say, slightly better because, I had a chance to associate with a teacher, with a faculty member. I could speak to my department head. I could speak to my principal. I could speak to my sports coach and art and music coach. Now, of course, I don't have that kind of intimacy. I am not in a position to sit with them, approach those topics. Of course, it's a very very difficult world. However, therefore, now if that's not there, then you become the teacher, you become the coach, you will also, and I'm sorry, you are also dealing with a lot in your own workplace, business, everywhere. You're also stretched, but I think we'll have to create that space for dialogue, for discussions. So that's another area which I would request you to kind of give importance to, is aptitude development. And aptitude doesn't have to be just mathematical, numerical, reasoning, English, general awareness. It could be anything that they are interested in. Okay, we could discuss that. We could help them. Today, the beauty is, and how do I explain? So I'm reminded of something. This was year 2006. Yeah, 2006. June, I think June or July 2006, Mr. Mukesh Ambani was talking to the shareholders at the annual general meeting, all right, Reliance Industries. And he talked at length, and he did not, in his entire speech, 3 words didn't find any mention. Any mention. It was online data. Okay? These words just weren't there. And today in 2020, Reliance is the largest service provider in India. I think their share would be about 51-52%. Facebook launched their first office in India in 2010. All right, 2010. Facebook came to India in a very, very minimal scale in 2006. By 2008 or 9, they had I think 15 million subscribers. I think 2010. In last 10 years, India has become, it's the largest subscriber base in the entire world. It's the largest market for Facebook. So why I'm sharing this with you is last 10 years. I mean, we are living in crazy times, exponential times. You would have heard this in the newspaper that Apple has become, Apple is valued at $2 trillion, right? $2 trillion is the valuation, right? Very good. We all love to hear such things. But let me share something crazy. Apple was valued at $1 trillion. All right, $1 trillion. Can anyone think how many years back? Today they are 2 trillion. 1 trillion was 2018. 2018, they were valued at $1 trillion. 2020, 2 trillion. I mean, it's mind-boggling. $1 trillion should be about in Indian rupees, should be about 75 lakh crores. 2 years. I mean, I can keep talking about it. There is so much of the way the world is exploding. It's exponential. It's crazy. Just the other day we had WhatsApp, 2010, Insta came. Today, Insta influencers, the kind of careers coming up, it's mind-numbing, it's mind-boggling. So therefore, my request to you is, when they come to you with such things, yes, the only thing that you could talk about, hey mama, I want to be an Instagram influencer. Just look at her. She's got 40 million followers. This one has 50 million. This one has 5 million. The only thing that you could tell them is, instead of bursting their bubble, what you could tell them is, listen, sweetheart, you're looking at them having 40 million subscribers, followers of 15 million. Can you tell me? You could also do that, but can you kind of imagine and read about it? How many years it would have taken for them to reach here? What all it took out of them to reach here? You think it's the very first day that they started with 15 million or 24 million? You think Mahendra Singh Dhoni, we talk about Dhoni being a clinical finisher and so on. Do you think Dhoni happened in a day? Dhoni took years and years of hard work before he reached. Virat Kohli, we talk about Virat Kohli. You look at Virat Kohli today. You don't look at Virat Kohli when he was 14, 15, 16, when he was struggling to find his place, when he was kind of... So it is the entire struggle. Every career will require a huge amount of investment. Yeah, that kind of dialogue and discussion we need to have. Because suddenly they think, okay, wow, this is like an overnight celebrity. It's suddenly you are on Spotify, you're on Apple Music, you're on Deezer, and you feel, wow, I can make my own music and I can have 1 million hits. Like, for example, I was just reading about David Lloyd. Now, David Lloyd is this new age sensation, all right? He should be about 23. He's a Israeli musician. And suddenly he's hit this. He compiles his own music. He plays around with softwares. He just launched it and it was straight away 10 million hits, 1 million hits. And suddenly he's the next star on the horizon. And now when a student sees, wow, you know, if he could do it, I could do it. Agreed. But please also go back and look at, he started producing music at the age of 6 and 8. All right. He started playing instruments and he can play almost about 11 instruments. So therefore, when you see him exploding on the international stage at 23, please understand he started doing this in a certain way at age 8. It's taken him 15 years to burst on the scene. I don't know if you're getting what I'm trying to say. All right. So that's another thing that we need to talk to our students. And that includes patience, investment, time, energy, focus, dedication, resilience, perseverance, never say die attitude, and just go at it, intense pursuit. There are a lot of other personality traits that come into being. So that's another area, right? I would love to have questions, please, because you can be here with me the entire day, and I could talk about a lot of aspects. So I'd love that all that I've shared right now. If you could have questions on them, it'll be a little easier. So one I've shared is that how the personality we work on, aptitude, how they need to deal with this situation, how we are looking at brilliant career of how national education policy. Okay, let me kind of share a couple of points. I'll take questions and then I'll help you with national education policy, how it is likely to impact higher education. Any questions, please? Any questions from any parent?
Any parent?
No.
Yes.
You could ask anything around their world.
Anyone?
Yeah, I think Miss Kaur, her new Kaur, she wants to ask a question,
Yes.
please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, good morning, sir. This is Gurpreet. I am Hanoor's mother.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we are known by our kids' names.
Yeah, actually, it's their ID, it's a school ID, so I've just joined from that ID for this meeting.
Yeah, please ask.
Okay, my question is like, you've mentioned that, they should amplify their CVs and all that, but at the same time, they can opt for SAT also. So I would like to know a little more about SAT as to how SAT is one of the option which can be, taken into consideration.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for asking that question. So one is when we look at SAT. So SAT was never an Indian test. SAT was used by a lot of top-notch universities in US. In fact, if I look at US, I would write SAT. SAT is a standardized test, and then of course, if required, depending upon certain universities, what kind of courses, then you have SAT subject tests. Okay. However, because of COVID, there has been a great departure. Okay, when I look at so just let me kind of first give you a context. So when we are looking at in last 5-10 years, the best the best countries to go to higher education. Top of the list is US, UK, Canada, Singapore, Hong Kong was also there. So people would move to these countries, okay, especially US and UK. However, if you see the new trend, because of this entire spirit of nationalism, me first, I am not happy having immigrants. I'm not happy having people from outside come into my country and take up my jobs. And America has been a hotbed, absolutely the center of controversy, where they're not very keen to have. They're not banning international students, but there are a lot of other factors coming in. So US still stays as a sought after destination. However, the impact is such that people are now looking at other greener pastures. Therefore, Australia, which always was, but now New Zealand and Australia is becoming big. Singapore was, Hong Kong is coming up, but this year Hong Kong has taken a beating because of political stability. Netherlands, Finland, Sweden, Japan. There are a lot of other countries which are coming up. Okay, a lot of other countries. So other European nations and countries across the world are coming up as possible destinations. Now, many of them don't look at SAT score. So SAT was primarily US. Canada is coming up in a big way. Few Canadian universities will also look at a SAT score. However, in 2020, SAT has taken a beating, which means university said that because it is not possible for students to go to SAT centers and take SAT exams, therefore we are doing away with SAT for the time being. So a lot of universities will not be looking at many universities will not be asking for a SAT score. They've gone SAT optional, which means you write it, you don't write it, don't worry. We're not going to ask for it. And therefore, if you don't write, you're not at any disadvantage. So SAT is off the shelf right now. Thousands of students across the country, across the world will not be taking SAT for 2021, also for 22. Few universities have gone to the extent to say, we are not taking SAT till 2024-25. All right. So therefore, I would ask you to wait, because your student is in 9th class. The best time to take SAT is 11th class. Okay. No 9th, no 10th. The best time to write is 11th. 11th class, August, July, August, September, October, best time, November. A lot of students take it in 12th class also. So you have a good advantage of about 2 years. By the time we will have a lot of clarity, is SAT required, if there is a new test coming in, or SAT in a new avatar. Clear? Have I answered that question, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Great, great, great. Any other question, please?
Anyone else would like to ask? Anyone? Sir, can I ask you a question, please?
Please.
So we've been talking about building a profile that you've been really encouraging students about having a very good profile since grade 8 rather, and taking in a lot of internships. Okay. So like when we are talking about building profile and taking internships, so now with this COVID and the entire virtual thing coming into the picture, what one thing that they should need to take care about? Because this is what children ask me, that ma'am, from here now where what? You know, if we just go and have a profile, work somewhere for few months, have a maybe an experience of an internship. So how can we, like with this virtual thing coming into the picture, build a profile?
So internship is going to be a slightly difficult piece. However, when the world is moving to virtual, so there are a lot of internship websites. Okay, Let's Intern Pathshala, intern this. I'll request Dipankar to share the entire list with you. Okay, which are the websites, the well-known platforms for providing internships. Okay, that's one.
Yeah.
Second is, all these companies which are already on the internet and also doing, they keep throwing these bits and pieces for these young students. Hey, why don't you write? Why don't you do this review? I know so many of my students are working for a lot of social media websites, are working for a lot of e-commerce platforms and websites where they're supposed to write something, then someone has to do catalog mapping. So the kids are getting all these opportunities. Next is, there is something called a virtual simulator. Okay, I'll request Dipankar to share those details with you. These are not internships as in internships, but this is called a virtual career simulator, which is another name given as virtual internship. What are these? So supposing my student is not very clear what I want to do in life, and how can you expect something that sure from a 9th class student? Okay, even 12th class students may not have that clarity, but they want to explore. So you talk to them about, hey, what is filmmaking? I don't know what is filmmaking. I don't even know what is architecture, what is media studies. So then you get access to these online short 3-4 hour capsules where a student goes. Student first learns about what is that career. That's one. Second is, then there are these very nice videos from professionals in that field, that what is this career all about. Then there are these few exercises, do it yourself things, where you kind of process it, do that, and you figure out, oh, this is what you do in this career, right? So this is like a individual online program called simulators, career simulators. So a student in 8th, 9th, 10th can easily take part. I don't know how much is the fee or something, but I'll request the council to share that, and you could share it with parents. And we don't have to do so many. We could pick up one career, two careers, at max three careers, and kind of you sitting at home. These experience. It's a brilliant way of knowing about not 100%, but kind of going through that experience, just experiencing that career. So therefore, I'm saying there are a lot of opportunities. Okay, especially next is you have to seek out, because you see, no one's going to pay you. So there are all these startups, all these companies that you have, just write to them. Many of them are on social media. There are on Instagram only. There'll be so many people who write, "Hey, young kids, young students who have this ability, that ability. We just wanting them to work with us on a project. Animal cruelty, environment. There are so many um, um, uh, non-governmental organizations to say, hey, excuse me, if anyone wants to pursue this program, we'll do that. Next is, how do students connect? Okay, if you don't want to write online, then you ask your parents. Excuse me, my parents, you will have so many friends, you will have so many relatives. Why can't you just get me? It could be something so simple. Okay, right? You could talk to your family, you could talk to your extended family, you could talk to your friends, parents, and so on. Just seek out something. There are people who are sitting at home and writing codes, making programs for companies. It could be anything. But what I'm saying is, you have to first open your mind to say, I am open to opportunities in the universe. And you start seeing something or the other, right?
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, one more question. Parents, is anybody there? Does anybody want to ask? Okay, actually, I have. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
after your question, I have to share one more thing with parents. Okay, I'll share that. Yeah, please go
Okay,
ahead.
sir, maybe please share it with them, and then maybe my question is answered. You never know.
Okay, okay.
Hi, sir. Can
Yeah,
I question here, please?
please go ahead.
Yes.
Uh, I'm father of Lakshya Sachdeva, and I just wanted to check with you. Like you mentioned that there are a lot of things which are coming up, and the children need to focus on lot of other courses also, or probably not as a career, but yes, definitely as an interest or hobby, right?
Ji, ji.
But do you think that this will help them, get kind of excel into that particular thing? Because I don't think so that rather than distracting them, we should keep them focused on a particular goal, so that they can achieve something in their life which is of interest or of value to them in the near future. Because I could see in the the new education policy also, I read somewhere, now the next thumb rule would be probably, you need to learn how to unlearn things fast. So what is your take on that?
Ji. Good question. Thank you so much for asking that question. So there are two schools of thought. You see, the old school of thought used to be that concentrate on one thing, be an expert in that area, and just keep working. Okay, don't look left or right. Don't be distracted by other things. All right. What is happening is so basically when whatever skill we are building, that skill may become redundant. Like, for example, see, I'm a teacher. Okay, for example, I'm a school teacher. My world was absolutely different. Okay, I never expected that one day I am going to be teaching, sitting at home in front of a machine, and I could be visible to the entire world. Parents could be coming in, students could be coming in. Students are going to shut their laptop, and I will be not looking at students, my method, my pedagogy. I will be using platforms. I will be using screen sharing. It is an altogether different world. So my previous skills may not come handy, as you rightly pointed out. I'll have to unlearn and relearn. So it's how I envisage the future is that multidisciplinary skills are going to be required in order to survive. I'll tell you why, sir. Supposing I'm a, say, why they will be required? Because you never know that skill may be out of the market. It's almost like, let me give you a metaphor. So I am riding high on a wave, but the wave dies down. I'm absolutely brought back to Mother Earth. I go back. I wait for the next wave to climb. So therefore, these kids will have to be lifelong learners, which means they'll have to learn X, they'll have to learn computational thinking, they'll have to be experts in communication, they'll have to be experts in international languages, understanding technology, understanding the convergence of technology. They will have to have grip on design, critical thinking. There are so many things. Why? Because the company says you have one skill, but this guy has a lot of other skills along with that. So this is going to be the need of the hour, number one. Next is, how do you adapt? If your focus has been, let me just study, study, study. Great. You are not the only one who's going to study. Such a 10th class, today only, 10th class exam is written by around 2 crore students. The government is ensuring that a couple of other crores come into the being. So which means by the time your students will be writing 12th class exam, we are looking at 3 crore plus. Out of those 3 crore, everyone is going to get marks. Most of them, like today, if you look at NEET, 14.5 lakh students are writing the NEET exam with only one thing, that we will become doctors. But how many of them will score 650 and above to go to government colleges out of 720? Rest of them who are scoring 300, 400, 500, 550, 580 will have to go to private colleges, which means have about 1.5 to 2.5 crore to just do MBBS. So therefore, it's a very unfair world. More number of skills, which means they're adapt. Now, I'm not saying don't focus. I'm saying focus. But the universities and the employers are not going to look at, oh, great, you did accounts, you account is on, very good. But do you also know forensic accounting? Have you done this also? So therefore, skill upgradation and skill also in lot of other allied skills is going to be the future. Is already becoming the future and is going to be the future. So all I'm saying is, allow them to focus. I'm with you. They should focus. But it cannot be that they can't do anything else. They don't have anything else. And so please, let me assure you, they also have 24 hours. You also have 24 hours. The Prime Minister, the President, and like the Elon Musk and the Mark Zuckerberg, the fighters, everyone has. So there is so much that can be done, provided they are motivated and engaged. I hope I've answered that question.
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes. But again, I am not that convinced on that because somewhere down the line, like you mentioned in the last lines, that we all have those 24 hours only, right? So
Right.
right now also I am seeing the kids, they are, almost, I would say, in 12 hours, they are already online. So I don't know how should I, tell them to, manage their time and work on some
Very
other development of some other skill or something like that.
Yeah, sir, let's exclude this time. Okay, this time is very difficult. This
Mhm.
time I would request you that if in this time they're taking care of their online studies, okay, and they're sleeping at the right time. Okay, I'll request you. I know that you will have to talk to them, sometimes scold them, sometimes tell them with love. The problem is they can't be awake till 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. The few things where you could step in. It's good to see Netflix, okay? But what are you watching on Netflix? What are you watching on Amazon Prime? So you are looking at online classes. So supposing your schedule, you understand that your school is on. Sleep at the right time, get up at the right time. Okay, do your class, give your body some rest, do homework. But now let's look at few other things. It could be building blocks. It could even be playing Ludo, because this is de-stressing yourself. It could be if you have a pet. It could be if you have a garden to tend to. It could be doing some household chores, because you're slowly developing that kind of. could be discussions over your career. It could be, hey, listen, do you want to paint? Do you love music? Anything in their life, it could be. So what it will do is, you will have beautiful things where, and suddenly you never know when you will experience those things. You never know where your passion lies. You never know where your calling lies, because there is no successful formula that we can figure out your calling. Few people get to know their calling early. Few people can go on and on with their life and still don't know what their calling is. So therefore, a lot of exposure needs to be given. However, it has to be contained. It cannot be superficial. Like, for example, hey son, what are you doing? Papa, I want to play drums. Very good. Why do you want to play drums? Papa, I'm very keen. Let's get a drum thing. Let me do this. 6 months. Papa, I'm not interested. I want to play guitar. Okay. I want to do sports. I want to look at this career. You are just dabbling in something just for the heck of it. There's a difference between investment. There's a difference between giving it some time. There's a difference between investment, spending time, or just doing things for the heck of it. Right? So that is something. There has to be a balance. Sometimes, so these are difficult times. If they are engaged, if they are motivated, if they are, and all of them will be going through tough times, like you, like me, all of them. I think if we can get them through this, there will be a lot of other opportunities also. So this is very difficult and very, very trying and challenging times. I mean, I can share so many formulas with you, but you never know which one will work, and maybe sometimes all formulas will fail. So yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. One last thing that I would like to share with the parents before we go and call it a day is, when we were growing up, our opportunities were very different. And many of us, if we belong to business class families or service class families, our parents, we would have seen our parents working hard, and we took it upon ourselves that if we don't have a career, and we were, I would say, not, I can't generalize, but we were sometimes too scared to take chances. Yeah, Mr. I'm just coming back to you. Just give me a minute, right? I'll just finish this and come back to you. This generation is very different. They are risk takers, calculated risk takers. They are enterprising in nature. As parents, if we could somehow first understand ourselves and then pass it on to them. We are very scared. I've met thousands and thousands of parents. I meet them almost on everyday basis, whether virtual, whether not. Is that students are scared to fail. Peer pressure, parents pressure, family pressure. I mean, even if parents are not pressurizing, they take it upon themselves that it's pressure. They are very, very scared to fail. I tell them failure is not a word. It is called course correction. You did this, it did not work, we will change the course. This did not work, course correction. So my request is, allow them to fall. Get up, fall, get up. Sometimes we are so cautious and so scared. We want them to be successful. Great, I'm with you that it is as a protection, as someone who loves them, we would want to see them succeed. But in life, each one of us, all parents, all of us have struggled. I have struggled so much, failed in so many endeavors, call it failed, but it's only my will. And that I would say, okay, this happened, hurt for a while, cry for a while, but then you just get up and do something else. Oh, this didn't work, this didn't work. I mean, just to leave you with one, before I take Mr. Prathamesh's question, imagine when Elon Musk in 2002 would have said, excuse me, I am going to make my own private shuttle, which will go to space and carry astronauts. And people said, Elon, can you just stop for a minute? I think you lost your screws. They must be lying here. This kind of a discussion is done by NASA, US, Russia. Okay? 2002, even the giants in the world, they don't have the budget. What are you talking? You ordinary person, you will do that? I mean, lakhs of people would have told him, stop it. 2002 to 2020, SpaceX happened. Whether he failed so many times, whether the rockets didn't fire, whether they didn't land, it worked. Tesla, a car, when you're challenging the Fords of the world, I mean, people who've been there for 100 years, and you know where Tesla is today. So what I'm trying to say is, they may go through ups and downs, things may not work, they take up something that didn't work, they take up certain subjects on whatever understanding, they don't like it further, they come back to you, we're not comfortable, we want to change, and you are sitting there and saying, oh my God, another change. It could happen, there could be many course corrections. The only support that you can extend is watch them, support them. That is one request I have, because in India, if we start having a very different approach, we will have tons and tons of students who will dabble in whatever they want. And like, see, we always used to worry about gap year, 0 year, what will happen. And today, no one knows. 2020 pass outs are still sitting at home. We are not sure when these exams will happen. Many of them will opt out. And national education policy is bringing something called multiple entry and exit. You're in first year and suddenly you got a project. First year you said, excuse me, I don't want to study further. Why? I want to go and do this startup. You tried that startup for a couple of years. It worked, it didn't work. Come back. Come back and continue your education. First year, you're doing in Delhi. Second year, you move to a university. It's a credit system. So credit bank has your credit. You've done few credits here, few credits here. Hey, excuse me, can I pick up these credits? Can I pick up this? And somehow you get a degree. You want to exit. So it is a crazy system, which is the Western system. We are also trying to adopt. But my request is allow them to fall. Give them the scope to fall. Right? Mr. Prathamesh, yeah, if you could have your question as the last question, please.
Yeah, hi sir. My question is like my son is like I'll not say like he's not interested, but somehow he's interested in multiple things and not focused yet. And I accept that. I try keep him motivating by showing some facts and other things, but he's distracted at various things. But what result I can foresee is he might not score so high. Looking at the market, like 90% plus is like very normal right now, which I don't see that he would be doing. Look, even if he does stretches himself in 10. So I'm not someone who is just looking at engineering and medical, but still, what do you see, like, where all we should, which all things we should keep in mind for those category of students?
Ma'am, your student scored 70% in 12th class, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, he scored 70%. Can he go to the IIM? Yes. Can he go to the topmost National Law School of India or of Asia, National Law School Bangalore? Can he go? Yes. Can he go and study at IIT Mumbai, IIT Guwahati, IIT Jabalpur, IIT Hyderabad? So, for example, he doesn't even take science. He takes history, psychology, political science. Can he still go to IIT Mumbai and study design? Even today he can. Can he, so arts and commerce students also can. Can he go to the best management institutes in India? Even with 65%, he can. Ma'am, please understand, it is whether you score 90 or you score 95. Say I have scored 98%, right? I score 98%. And I go to a very good leading college in Delhi to do my honors program. Very good, path solved. Now I score about 80%. I don't get a college based on my percentage. Forget about 80. I scored 65% in my 12. Can I still be as good as that same guy who scored 98? Absolutely. 65 minimum entry level criteria for all top entrance exams in the country is 60. IITs brought in 75 for people who want to go to IIT advanced, so they said minimum 75. All right, but all other engineering, BITS, SRM, VIT, everywhere, it's 55, 50. So supposing I get 65% and I write the national law exam, I write the IIM exam, I write the other exam. Can I crack? If I crack that entrance exam, ma'am, whether you got 98, I got 65, both of us are equal. Both of us are equal. Both of us go to the same institution, right? Okay. Now I am someone who doesn't even get 60. But I am brilliant in my art, design, or a sport, or anything, or a skill, or programming, coding. I want to be an artificial intelligence or a machine learning expert. Can I still go and do that area with 55%? Absolutely. So, ma'am, please understand, it is the whole mindset is that everyone thinks it unless you get 95, 98, you can't make it. Of course, there are certain institutes which look at 98. For example, you want to go to Singapore NUS or NTU. Singapore says, excuse me, if you have marks in school, come to me, otherwise bye-bye. Thank you. Now there are certain universities in US where they say, a lot of universities in US, they say, show us marks, but just because you didn't get 90, but your profile is good. So many other things around you. You also took part in school competitions. You did so many other things. Ma'am, I wish I could. Dipankar, can you do me a favor? Next time, can you send a couple of our profiles of students who get 80s, 80s, but other things, and they make it to Harvard, Stanford. They make it to the best colleges in the world. Why? It's because if you don't have those other things, the college says, excuse me, bye-bye. It's like I have 98% in 12th class. Your student has 80, but so many other things. Harvard will say namaste. Cornell, Yale will say namaste. Bye-bye. We don't want to look at you because there is nothing more to you. All you have is marks. There is nothing else that you've done in life. The other person may not have great marks, but there is so much that person will go ahead. Like, ma'am, why go so far? Look at Ashoka University. Look at Shivnadar, Azim Premji University, Narsimonji, Symbiosis. Look at all these universities. Do the people who go with 98%, you will have even people with 75, 72, 82, 85, but they have to have brilliant profile. And wherein someone with 98, they may say no, but someone with 75 with a brilliant overall profile, they will say yes. But it depends on university to university. Delhi University will say, sorry, whether you have profile or whatever, we are not interested, only show us marks. So it is each one of us, your students, has space. There are a lot of opportunities. That's all I'm trying to say now. I hope that makes it easy for you.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prikshit sir. It was a pleasure to have you, and I'm sure that our parents have got the answers to most of their queries. And parents, if you still have some queries or questions, you may please write it to us, and we may discuss with sir. Sir, is that all right? So thanks a lot, Prikshit sir, to be here, and thanks a lot to all the parents who have attended the session. And I hope your students or children have a great future ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.